I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Welcome back to the Quarter Mile Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. You've made it to episode 4. We're so glad you're here. We have a very special guest with us today. This is the first season 2 guest that we've had. Very excited to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dustin Callahan. Dustin, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Hey, CJ.
Hi. I'm doing well. So, Dustin, before we get into talking about Los Bandoleros, am I saying that correctly, gang?
Los Bandoleros.
Los
Yeah, there you
Bandoleros. I'm gonna. The more I try to say it, the whiter I'm gonna sound. Like my skin will literally turn whiter as
slow it down and try.
Los Bandoleros.
A bit slower.
Los Bandoleros.
There you go. Speed it up, folks. Los Bandoleros.
Really good.
Perfect. Well, Dustin, before we get to talking about this life-changingly amazing movie that everyone on Earth should see if they have 20 minutes to kill.
At least 20 minutes. Or 21 minutes.
Was it 21? Okay, yeah, 21 minutes. Just tell us about yourself, man.
I call myself a Nashville native. I moved here when I was a year old. Grew up here.
Are you a Nashville native? If you moved here when you were 1, you're a native.
Right.
Yes.
I'm not a full unicorn, but I've got the horn.
I would definitely give you unicorns. You can go on and call yourself a unicorn.
So I grew up one of 5 white kids in the Joe Johnson projects in North Nashville. And when it was time for my sister to go to the same schools, we moved to Williamson County. And I went from being one of 5 white kids to one of 5,000.
I'm from Williamson County, and I can attest. I graduated high school with 3 or 4, maybe, if I'm forgetting someone, people of color.
Oh, wow.
22.
Culture shock.
22.
Was that like a big culture shock for you?
Oh, big time. You know, I grew up listening to Master P and Nelly and
then you started listening
Jay-Z.
to Patty Ingram and
then you're hearing Fall Out Boy.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking
things that I was just like, who?
Fall Out Boy, Blink-182, Yellow Card.
Who Eminem was, you know, and they were all over that. But I knew who Dr. Dre was, you know. So different world and different culture. So I went to Brentwood High School.
Same here. What year did you graduate?
2004.
I was 2006. That's fun.
I wrestled, played rugby, football, hockey, all of that at Brentwood. And after that, I just kind of meandered through life for a little bit and did over-the-road truck driving. And I've been to 46 of all 50 states.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which ones do you need to go to?
So Hawaii and Alaska, obviously, right?
Obviously.
North Dakota. Now, technically, I drove through it for like 30 minutes, but I don't count that. And then Maine. Every time I've got to load to Maine, I got turned around right at the bridge.
Okay. So, well, I know North Dakota has a comedy scene. I know Alaska has a comedy scene, and I know Hawaii has a comedy scene.
Alaska?
It does, yeah. It has a comedy festival.
Alaska's got to have one.
Yeah.
Hawaii's kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's a small comedy scene, but there is a club in Hawaii. The question that everyone wants to know when they listen to this podcast is, what is your relationship with the Fast and Furious?
So when the first one came out, I was working at Pep Boys, which is like a car repair, auto shop type place.
You were right in there.
Cars like us, people love us type of thing.
Yeah, I love it.
And so I was stocking shelves and everything. I just got my first car, and then Too Fast, Too Furious came out. And to me, that was the best one of the whole series.
Okay.
And
great answer, CJ. It wasn't a no. It was just a...
It's not, but okay.
Listen, it is definitely one of the most fun of the series.
Yeah.
Like, it is happy and is, like, fun. And honestly, our in our poll last year, it did better than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be, for sure, one of the lower ranked ones. And...
No.
Yeah, it is higher.
It's the music.
Yep.
You go back and listen to the soundtracks from all of them. The second one has the best music.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and I think that's what did it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do feel like in my social media posting, I've used Active Full so much where actually someone did reach out and like, could you please use different
Switch the
songs?
song up.
No, I can. Let's get into talking about Los Bandoleros.
Sure.
Let's before we get into the overview and just the random stuff, I'd love to hear just we'll go into more detail, but overall, did you guys like this movie? Did we not like this movie? Where were we at with it?
So I loved it. My wife is Dominican, and the whole movie shot in DR. I think it encapsulated like the culture very well. The only thing that was kind of weird was maybe the opening scene with everybody talking in jail. But other than that,
Yeah.
it was what it looks like.
I did not get that opening scene. I mean, I get it. I get what they were saying, but I was like, what does this have to do with the movie?
I think it was just about the toughness of life in the DR.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
really
it's a
think
rough
that's-
country.
It was like set world building, letting you know what was going on there.
Like this
Yeah.
is the grittiness of the ugly side of the DR. And it's actually the pretty side because that's how people grew up.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
There we go. It was setting the stage because I kept wondering if something they'd said would like come up later, but they were just telling you like this is what it's
this
like.
is what it is.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why we do this podcast. Is I watch 20-minute movies and I don't understand them, and you all help me out with it. So thank you for that. Overall, broad strokes. Did you like this movie? Did you not like?
Oh no, I loved it.
You loved it. Okay. Well, I love hearing that you loved it.
I did actually. This little mini banger was fun for me.
I like that. This movie was a mini banger. I'm going to do my best to remember to put that in like some of our promotion things. Like,
Little mini banger.
listen to us talk about this mini banger of a movie. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to be the odd man out. Like, I was bored with it. Like, it was fine. It did to me what it needed to do. But
Okay.
also, like, I was like, nobody asked for this. I would say it was a little slow for me. Los Bandoleros came out in 2009. This was part of Fast and Furious 4. So this whole movie is leading to the opening credit scenes in Fast 4,
Right.
which was a train, like a heist where they were breaking out. And then if you remember from the movie, it was all kind of like a flashback. It was setting up the crew. It was showing you Dom and Letty again. It was really focusing on their relationship because then the whole movie is about Letty dying and Dom going out
Right.
for revenge. So it was all like a big, and then no one was asking the question, what led them to do this train heist? But then Vin Diesel was like, you know what we need? A movie setting up the train heist. So that train heist was their ultimate what they were doing in the Dominican to help the people of the village out. It gives you the precursor to how he got Santos and Tejo out of prison, how Letty ended up connecting back with him. What I would love is, and at this point, Vin's probably too old to do it, but I always thought we needed just like Too Fast, Too Furious gave us what happened to Paul Walker, Brian O'Connor after the Fast and Furious. We needed a movie where we saw what happened to Dominic Toretto when he was on the run. And I think this could have been part of that movie. I think this could have been. He winds up in the Dominican Republic. He meets these people. He gets connected to the point where they're calling him the Godfather. Like, we see all this happening, and and maybe it ends that either with that heist scene or leading into that heist scene, and then we're ready for Fast 4. That's where the movie stands in the overall mythology. It didn't come out by itself. It was just part of the DVD of Fast and Furious 4. It was directed by Vin Diesel. You had Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Sung Kang, and Tego Calderon and Dom Omar, and that's Tego and Santos. And this is probably the most characterization, especially of Tego, that we see. They're usually just the fun Hispanic guys that are bantering, and it's like a comedic relief. We see him get out of prison. We see him being like he's someone. Like, people are bringing him his clothes. He
doesn't run for nobody. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that about
Yeah.
I love that.
So that might have been my favorite contribution of this movie, is it gave us more characterization of a usual side character.
Yeah.
More than just the comedic stuff.
Yeah.
Watching them and then everything they translated in Spanish, I'm like, that's not exactly what they said. There's some stuff that's missed.
Something was missing, but
Yeah,
It's
but
fun.
oh yeah, it was definitely more entertaining. Yeah, than what the translation showed.
well, I mean, just for the words, like
Yeah,
a lot of the cuss words.
Was it like they were censored, that you didn't hear like they didn't say the cuss words in the English transition, or like?
No, they didn't.
they didn't say the cuss
Oh.
words, but I mean, like it's very Dominican culture.
Very Dominican culture.
K-Lo-K, stuff like that you don't hear in other Hispanic cultures.
Right.
And it was I thought it was very accurate. My wife is Dominican. They're proud people. It's a poor country. Her dad's a mayor in DR.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, so what's happening right now, just so you guys know, is you guys are making me like this movie better. Like, I am
honestly-
changing my overall rating. I can already tell you that right now. So that's cool. It does go to show you. I mean, I know in this podcast and last season, we had a lot of fun ripping on Vin Diesel and kind of his dieselisms and weird things that he does.
His what?
Dieselisms.
Dieselisms.
My God.
Like, I don't think he'll ever direct a movie where he's not the star of the movie. Like, I don't think he'll ever
Yes, he shouldn't.
But one thing he does very well, and it seems like he's still doing for this movie, is the representation he gives to people on the. So like
That was very much
Fast
what
and
I
Furious,
loved.
the whole team there. It's a very racially diverse team in all the movies, and then every Fast and Furious is filmed in a different part of the world. Like they highlight a different like culture and stuff like that, and that's very intentional on him and his team's part.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show you that that's something that's very important to him.
Yeah.
And I love that. We do have a tradition here at this podcast. I don't know if you guys know this yet. You do, because I kind of told you already, but whenever we have a guest, unless they just vehemently don't want to, we put it on them to give us the AI plot summary. It's just a way to just break them in. So, Dustin, we're so happy you're here. And as our first guest of season 2, you get to be the first non-CJ voice to give a plot summary in our 4th episode. We did ask the AI plot summary to give us a summary of the movie from the perspective of Dominic Toretto.
Oh, man.
So you are more than welcome to give us your best or worst Vin Diesel impressions.
Out in the Dominican Republic, life is different. It's a place where you got to make your own rules, and family comes first. So when I got the word of a big score that could help us out, I knew I had to assemble my crew. It's all about getting fuel to the locals who need it. But it's not just about knocking over a convoy and calling it a day. There's a lot more at stake. Familia, loyalty, and showing that we can do good even in our own outlaw ways. Letty's by my side, always holding it down with the fierce spirit. Han's got our backs with his calm demeanor and tactical mind. And there's Santos and Tego, and Maricones, who always keep things interesting. Together we're unstoppable. It all goes down under the cover of night. We're taking precision, speed, and flawless execution. There's nothing like the adrenaline rush of pulling off something like this. Fuel tankers aren't just rolling over, and we face plenty of obstacles, but nothing can stop the team united by a larger purpose. Winning isn't just about completing the mission, it's about sticking together, celebrating our victories, and thinking about what's next. In a world that tries to tear us apart, our bond remains unbreakable. Familia is everything.
That was great.
Okay.
Vocally, I don't know if I heard Vin Diesel, but like hurt-wise, like I heard I felt the Dominic Toretto. I
agree with him.
Like, yeah,
Familia.
if you and Dominic Toretto had like a Freaky Friday situation and he was speaking as you, that was perfect. I also want to say that plot summary was so much more interesting to me than the movie. Like that when they were talking about adrenaline rushes, I was like, where was the adrenaline rushing? My adrenaline was
there were
very
some sex scenes and stuff in there.
Well, I mean, okay, listen, I can already tell I'm going to get in trouble for this line. There's only one appropriate time in my mind that we should be watching sex scenes on TV. Whenever I'm watching movies and it has awkward sex scenes, I'm always like, who's this for? I get that it's like trying to like, well, they're so in love. Look at how in love they are. But like, weird.
I get it.
Well, I mean, sex sells, right?
But you're right, though. But I am actually.
So when do you think it's necessary?
I mean, if you're watching pornography and you don't see a sex scene, you're gonna be a little let down. You're gonna be like, "What? Turn this on." I mean, I would be. Like, you've never heard someone be like, "I'm really just here for the plot." Like, I watched the first 10 minutes
here
of
for the
every movie,
storyline.
and then like that's the only kind of anyway. Last week when we did Better Luck Tomorrow, I was a little bummed that we didn't get a lot of fan feedback. We didn't get a lot of people
Yeah, no.
say it.
no.
Instead, I got to read angry movie reviews, which was fun. It was
Which
fun.
was fun.
But so I kind of thought this would be another dud as far as getting. But I posted it yesterday, and I asked people on Reddit, and boy howdy, did people show up. I'm only reading a few, but if you want to read the rest of the comments, go check us out. If you look at the Fast and Furious subreddit of Reddit, am I using the correct? I don't know if I'm using the correct. Anyway, we post every time we do a movie to get if it relates enough to Fast and Furious, and you pull up opinions about this movie, and all good. Like I was in the minority because I was hoping everyone would like bash it. It is a movie. It is a movie that exists in God's favorite series.
He doesn't get it.
He does.
He doesn't get it.
So
That's a no for him.
that's okay. But here's some things that we heard from some of y'all, and just a friendly reminder: we love your feedback. So
Please.
every week we're posting on what movies we're about to review. Drop a shit. Let us know what you think. It might show up in the podcast, or at the very least, we could have an online discussion about it.
Yep.
Now people are like, I don't want to post it. I don't want him to talk to me. But also we have polls going on. Help us figure out which movie celebrity we're going to be focusing on next season. And here's some feedback people gave us on Reddit. So Trini Boy 123 said, a little boring, but it was cool to give more backstory on his life in the DR.
Wait, his name was Trudy Boy?
Trini Boy.
Trini.
So that's his username. I don't know if that's his real name.
Maybe he's Trinidadian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's Trini.
Winterfell 11. Sounds like a great D&D character.
Right.
He said, it was excellent. Slow, ground. It portrayed the best Dom and Letty. Good chemistry. Okay.
Yeah, it was good chemistry.
It was definitely good chemistry.
So I will say, I feel like one of the ways Fast and Furious sometimes misses marks is with all the love stories, but Dom and Letty is the only one that
Classic.
that one is
Yeah.
good, and we do get that this is very heavy for this. And in later movies, they do allude to, I mean, this is where they got married. They do flashbacks to this 20-minute movie.
Yep.
It makes a lot more sense because I actually hadn't seen this 20-minute thing until I've been holding off on watching it before I had to. And so, anyway.
Yeah.
I like this one. This is from Jay. It's either Jay Drawers, like your drawers, or it's Jay Drawler. It's in the J.
I'm going with draws.
I like draws, though. I like Jay Draws.
Yeah, I'm going with J draws.
Let us know. Correct us if we're wrong, or make it your new identity. Anyway, this is what J Draws says. I think this one actually is pretty charming. How it goes into more detail about the characters and what happened before the movie started. This is talking about 4. But also, it makes me wonder what Vin Diesel was thinking when he wrote, and then she straddled me. I mean, Dom.
Oh, yeah.
There's that car scene where they get really into it. That must have
Yeah.
been so hard for Dom to act in. That must have been a rough scene for Vin Diesel.
I was wondering how he was driving.
I mean, slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Had to be.
Carefully.
On the shoulder?
And very carefully.
In the parking lot, maybe?
If I take myself away from the movie and I ask myself, how was Vin Diesel driving? That's a valid question. But you have seen Dominic Toretto drive through worse than having a woman on top of him. So Tristan Studios said, I like the backstory and context it gives, but I prefer the turbocharged prelude. Kristen, I feel you. And if you're like, I love the turbocharged prelude so much, I'd like to watch a podcast episode that is 4 times as long as the prelude, you should check out our episode too, and I think you'd really like it. Last comment comes from Richie. You guys may not know Richie, but he's a regular for our podcast. He actually did a Fast Fan feedback episode where we just interviewed him,
Okay.
and one clip he said has been our mega viral clip on TikTok.
Okay.
It is the only clip that we have on TikTok that doesn't have my face on it. And it's got about 800,000 views on it. So people are like, what's the secret? Don't put my face on it. That's the secret, apparently. So,
My God.
anyway, this is what Richie said. I really liked how Vin portrayed the common people here and his style of filming, even if it was for a simple little short movie like this. I know Vin has talked about wanting to finally direct again after the mainline series wrapped up. And aside from his own personal projects, it would be cool to see more Fast movies directed by him.
Absolutely.
More like little 20-minute things.
Yeah.
I definitely say he did touch something. He touched a spirit within in that movie that I like.
I would love to hear more about that.
I think it was honestly it started with the jail scene.
Mhm.
And I think it was because a lot of people they already look at the DR as a hard place, a hard place to visit, a hard place to live. But he's telling you yeah, it is. But here's the reason why. But this is what we have to fight for, and this is who we are, and especially when they're walking and when they're together, when the man is walking and he's yelling at the kids, it's just it's family. It's everyone there is family. No matter who you are, it's everyone there is family because you're all going through the same thing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We've already gotten to a little bit, but this is the place now where we can talk about our opinions. What do we thought? How do we like the movie? What are things that stood out to us?
I liked it. I honestly loved it. I loved everything about it. Especially, I loved how he tried to speak Spanish. and it just did not go over very well. It was so cute how
Yeah.
he did it.
He did his best, and they were.
I really love how he really put the locals. Like he was like, "Nah, we're not getting actors. We're actually getting real locals
Yeah.
here to give it that authenticity." So I mean, I could just go on and on. I honestly liked it. I loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I loved it as well. My wife and I watched it together just recently, and she had never seen it before, and I saw it a long time ago. And we're watching it, and both of us thought the same thing. It was authentic. This is what it really looks like.
Yeah.
Arguing between the two characters that most people would probably say, "Oh, they're annoying," or "Oh, they're background characters." That's a DR family.
Yep.
I mean, it's just constant, loud back and forth, fighting over nothing, absolutely nothing, and just arguing the whole time, and happy. They're not even mad. They're just, they want to pick on each other the entire day long, and that's kind of how it is. And Vin Diesel's Spanish is, rudimentary at best.
I love it,
but it was still good.
Do you think that was him acting, or because he probably does better Spanish in real life?
Right? Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Or was Italian? Is he not? I think he's got Italian roots.
He is Italian.
I thought he was,
or maybe he is some kind of Dominican Hispanic.
Is he not black?
His last name's Sinclair. He's mixed though. He's definitely a multiple things. In fact, he has a documentary where he talks about the experience he's had as being a biracial actor, and how sometimes he's been able to play any part, but sometimes he's been not given work.
I think he's half black, half Italian.
Which side note, Vin Diesel is one of the actors in our poll for season 3. So if you're man, I would love for them to do more movies about Vin Diesel, including the documentary about his race, give us a Vin Diesel vote. You can just tell it's Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Michelle Rodriguez, or Spy Racers. The TV show.
The TV show.
Which it's very random. But I wanted to throw in something in case someone was I hate all those people. Give me something different. So
but no, I loved it. The scene where he comes in and he's talking to his aunt about cooking and how
that was one of my
it's hot all the time there.
Yeah.
I mean, miserably hot. And the women slave away over the stove. Kids are in the kitchen. They want them gone. Yeah. I thought it was spot on. I mean.
Okay, well, all of the notes I brought up to bring up is going to sound so pessimistic to you guys. So are we not going to address the fact that right before they got married, Lenny was you're hanging out with 2 other women. He was making out with ladies, and he showed up, and she was just well, that's dumb, which it is a reference to the first movie where when she walks into the house party, she sees him with other women. So apparently this is a thing Dominic Toretto does a lot, and she's I smell skanks, get away. And
she's made peace with him.
She's accepted him for his and then literally she sees him with 2 other women. She literally left Mexico / LA to find her man, and the minute she sees him at the DR, what is he doing?
He's with 2 other women.
He's with 2 other women.
But see, if he'd married a Dominican woman, she'd have murdered him right there.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. But that are we cool with this dynamic?
No, hell no.
No. That was probably one of my favorite scenes, especially when she said, "I don't want to taste that saliva."
But let's go get married.
Let's go get married, though.
She's accepted it, but she doesn't like it.
Well, I think that she knows that that's just unfortunately, who he is. And if I want to be happy, I have to accept him like this.
Oh, that's nice. Could any of us?
Oh,
I could not.
No, I couldn't.
I don't share.
Letty is a better person than we'll ever be.
No.
Or maybe she should have higher standards. Maybe she should have higher standards than Dominic Toretto, the man who eventually saved the world.
Maybe he's you know what? There is no woman for me but her. And now I done had my fun. Now I'm done.
All right, maybe it was a wake up call. He saw it and he was you're the one I want to marry.
Right.
Let's go make out in my car while I drive in a straight line on the highway.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't want any other woman but you.
You know what's funny? One of my notes, I literally wrote WTF with that opening scene, and you guys answered that already. Because that's a beautiful scene that I did not appreciate. I watched through this twice to see if I missed anything, and I did a lot. So. Okay, here's another thing that I would have loved to see more of. Because going into before I'd actually seen Los Bandoleros,
much better.
We're getting, all right,
you're getting there.
We're getting there. I saw my skin get less white when I say it. Going into it, a lot of times people will tell you this is the origin story of the relationship between Dominic Toretto and Han. And so I was kind of excited to see how these two guys met. They already knew each other in the movie. He's coming to help him with the job, but he says, I helped you in Mexico, which is also the second reference to Mexico.
Right.
Letty, well, it come earlier, but like Letty also said, like, last time I saw you was in Mexico. A little 20-minute movie about what happened in Mexico.
Now that is true.
Yeah.
Because Han said it to the other girl, like, he was telling her something about, like, I was helping them down in Mexico.
I know him from Mexico.
Yeah, like what happened in Mexico? We need a Los Bandoleros prequel.
The second half of the fourth movie was in Mexico.
Yeah,
and I felt like they should have stayed in DR for the third one and then did a whole different movie for Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was plenty still left on the table for DR.
It does make sense just knowing that side tangent that when he gets to Mexico and everyone's on his side helping him out, like because when we reviewed the Fast Five, which happened in Mexico, we were like, "How does everyone know him in Mexico? What? Why?
Oh, he's a legend down there.
He's a legend.
Yeah,
he is." And there's a story there. My critique is Fast and Furious has never given us that story. Vin Diesel, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, we need I guess it would be a Fast and Furious 3.5.
It'd be a 3.5,
So,
3.5,
or it could debatably be a 1.5. But what it is we're seeing what happens with Dominic Toretto after he has to leave LA.
That's
what happens in Mexico. How'd you meet Han? Like, these are the questions.
Han's left Tokyo.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't made it to Tokyo. Tokyo happens after Fast 6. Tokyo Drift is actually a 7th movie in the series. It's how they were able to justify bringing the character of Han back.
Oh, see, I misunderstood that altogether.
Oh, yeah. That was like the big...
I thought Han had to leave after everything in Tokyo.
Oh, so the end of Tokyo Drift, he's dead. Full dead.
Right.
But the actor was so well liked by the director, they had such a good relationship. They wanted him in 4, mostly in 5, but they wanted him in 4. And so what they did to justify bringing him back was they said 3 happens later. And then they kind of don't address it till the end of 6. And then you see the scene where he dies as the post-credit scene in 6. And then you see the guy who killed him, who's Jason Statham's character, Deckard Shaw. And then 7 is all about Han died, now let's go get the guy that killed him. Side note, 9 comes around, Fast 9. Turns out Han wasn't dead, and it was all conspiracy because the internet went crazy that he died for a second time. And they're like, we want him back. So this actor literally has been killed off 3 times.
That's what's
Rasputin of Fast and the Furious.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, this motherfucker won't die.
But yeah, I would have loved to see what he did to become the Godfather, what Dominic Toretto became the Godfather. And then...
He is referenced as the Godfather.
Yeah. And I would love to see where Han and Dom actually met. I was hoping we'd see more of that, and we didn't, and that's fine. But overall, this movie seemed to have 2 overall purposes up for the plot of the Fast and Furious. But I do think you guys hit on an incredible purpose of the movie, which was showing us Dominican culture. Like that's not something I knew until we had this conversation. But that definitely seems like a big point of this movie. And knowing what we know about Vin Diesel, probably a big point of why he made the movie. But the 2 things that this did for Fast and Furious was it set up that heist scene at the beginning of Fast 4. And then it also kind of further developed and add emphasis to Letty and Dom's loving relationship. Add a kind of character development to their relationship. Because in most of the other movies, you just see them doing it. You just see him motorboating her. You just see them touching each other's scars and saying weird things.
Yeah.
And in this one, they get married. They have intimate moments.
They have a loving, intimate moment. Yeah.
I do like this movie better after you guys see. This is why we talk about movies. That's the beauty of this is you all are able to see and notice things that I didn't, and you can share it. And then now I have a deeper appreciation for it. So I appreciate that. So, any other thoughts or opinions or things about Los Bandoleros?
No,
I think we covered it.
Okay, we put more time into this movie than the actual thing.
in the actual movie itself. Yeah.
That's what podcasts are known for. Okay, so this is our Too Fast, Too Furious movie rating. We're all going to be able to share our ratings here. Here's what, just for anyone who's listening for the first time, but if we give it a too fast rating, that means we loved it. Our life is better because of it. It was awesome. If we give it a fast rating, that means we liked it. It was a good movie. If we give it a furious movie, that can either mean like we didn't like it, or maybe it's like a meh, whatever. You could take it or leave it. And then if you give it a too furious rating, that is straight up, I did not like it. My life is not better because my life is worse because of this movie. Like, it is the lowest form of lack of enjoyment for a movie. So, who does anyone want to get us started with their Too Fast, Too Furious rating?
Let the guests go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go too fast.
Okay.
I mean, the Dominican culture is just underrepresented, and they're fascinating. They're very loving, very cool, and I thought it was great that they did the movie there.
Yeah.
And I thought they picked up on the culture, so I loved it for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I am also going to give it a too fast. I really did love it. I loved everything about it. I love how it started off. I love the explanation of the bandoleros. I loved them actually because I love speaking in Spanish. I don't know. I love when Letty got there and was like, "What's up? Come on, you mind? Let's go. I don't care about them women."
Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
love she took her man back.
It was funny. She didn't even give him like an option or like a, hey, do you really want this? She was like, it almost like it didn't even matter. Like, she's like, I don't know. It doesn't matter what you want. This is what's happening.
This is what's happening.
So, yeah. But it does go to show you like their relationship. I mean, they've known each other since they were kids. They grew up each other. Like the level of like, that's how well they know each other or
Yeah.
whatever. I would only add like, so maybe don't cheat on her all the time. Like maybe don't. But I guess if she's cool with it, you know.
I mean, I don't even know if he was cheating on her because was he with her at that time?
No, I guess not. Yeah,
guess.
they technically they were. Yeah, you're right. He was just a man on the
He
run.
was just a man doing his
The moment she was back, it was like no one else in the
no
room
one else
existed.
mattered.
Okay, that is a good way to look at it.
Like, he got up, it was over. You know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I'll be
lady.
back. Sorry, girls. Nothing. It was straight up
Yeah.
like,
And Letty was so scary. Neither of those women had a problem.
Yeah,
They were like,
absolutely
you good. Yes. All right. So I came into this thinking I was going to give it a furious rating. My first furious rating of the series of this, podcast. I'm gonna give it a fast. I'm gonna give it. You all have given me more appreciation for this movie, so I do appreciate it. I like. It seems like what you both said seems probably to be my favorite part too. The highlighting of the Dominican culture is awesome.
it is.
And then anytime you can develop any of the characters and add to the story of
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, I'm a fan of. Here's the problem. It's my turn to do Drew's best bits.
Okay.
And my 3 scenes suck with the knowledge of what I know now.
Well,
Let's hear them anyways.
So we're gonna act like this is the prequel to this to this podcast episode. So these were the 3 scenes that I thought added nothing to the movie.
Gotcha.
And you have to pick the one that I guess I thought added the least, or the one that I thought was the most out of place.
okay.
Okay.
Right.
These are the 3 most unforgettable scenes. In hindsight, not so true. But here we go. All right. Scene 1 is that opening prison scene.
Okay.
They're talking about it, and then it just shifts right back into the actual story. Scene 2 was the amount of time, like Tego in the kitchen, and how much time they spent on that. Like, it could have been done a lot less. They just had it. So that's scene 2.
Vehemently disagree.
So,
That was a great scene.
and then scene 3 is when it was, I think it was Santos who was talking to his mother the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Like a long, the first time I watched that, I was like, this is going to play into something with the plot. And it did.
It went
not.
nowhere.
So it was not. So those are my 3 scenes, and you're picking which one do I think added the least to the overall plot. And for Flint, I did after our conversation, I have changed my answer.
Okay. What was your second one?
So the second one was when he was in the kitchen, Tejo,
Getting the suit,
and
getting all that.
getting everything. He was like coming back from out of prison.
That's my answer.
Okay.
You think that's the least
For him, yes.
Yeah.
for him?
Yes.
Okay. I got to go with the first one, the prison part.
Okay.
Because even for me, I felt like this could be summed up quicker. It could be wrapped up a lot sooner.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Your answer is correct. Before we talked about it, it was going to be the one where he's talking to his mom, and I was like, "What's this?" That was to me but I after you hearing kind of how you guys talk about that's like culture, that kind of made it more important to me. So then I changed my answer to. Although I think in hindsight, I think all three kind of added to the overall 20-minute movie.
It does. Yeah.
Had to pick like the least, and that's what I went with. So for everyone keeping count, basically, I forgot to explain this how this works. If both of them had gotten it wrong, I would have gotten 2 points, and then if or excuse me, CJ would have gotten 2 points. No,
No.
I was right the first time.
Yeah, you would have got
If both of them got it wrong, I would have gotten 2
You would
points.
have gotten 2
If
points.
both of them got it right, CJ would have gotten 2 points. You're always adding to one of ours as the guest. So in this case, it kind of washes out. But CJ gets a point.
Yeah.
Because she was correct.
That was correct.
But I also get a point because Dustin was incorrect.
So are we still? So we're back to being tied.
No, because in our last episode,
You won.
I was 2-1 at the end of last.
So you
So
won.
now we're 3-2.
We're 3-2.
I'm so glad we're saying this so that I can keep track of it when I hear it later. So
All right, I'm gonna catch up.
She'll catch you.
don't skip there. I have a very interesting quarter-mile spotlight for us today.
Okay,
So this one is for someone reached out to me who I had never met before.
Okay.
I guess they have heard of our podcast or they heard us from somewhere. But this is actually another podcast that we're going to spotlight just because they seem to be doing cool things and it's in line with kind of our vibe. So maybe we have some listeners that want to check it out. But
All right.
today we're putting a spotlight on the Cars and Health Bars podcast. But what their podcast is about is it's a 50-50 split between car discussion and gaming discussion. We cover all the local happenings in our car community and automotive news. And you can find them on YouTube and Spotify and Instagram and all the things at Cars and Health Bars podcast. And we'll, as always, in our notes, we'll give you links. But if you just type in Cars and Health Bars, you'll find them. And then, of course, the question, their thoughts on Fast and Furious. The first 4 through 5 were incredible. I haven't watched 6 to present, but I could watch 1 through 3 over and over again. Nothing beats the nostalgia of import versus domestic. Watching Paul Walker inspired us as kids to love cars. I like that. And they're so true. That first and second movie revolutionized car culture, especially the first one. The second one, not so much, but the first one really had an unknown effect. They didn't know what a big deal it was going to make, and it really did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just started following them.
Dustin, before we head off, where can we follow you? And we'll have it on the notes. If someone's listening, they can hear it.
Yeah.
And do you have anything cool coming up?
Yeah, so I'm doing a show at the Working Man Winery in Lebanon on Valentine's Day. But yeah, Dustin.Callahan on Instagram, Dustin Callahan on Facebook, Callahan Comedy.
Listen, if you're listening to this, if you're able to easily click and do follows, I can't stress enough. Follow comedians, follow local artists, follow the Cars podcast, follow us. If you're listening to this, you're probably already following us. But if you're not, please give us a follow. For all creatives, that makes such a difference. Not only does it make us more impressive to people viewing us, which is usually the reason you hear about the most. I'll tell you the more personal reason. It's nice to feel supported. It's nice to have those follows. It's nice to have people that are checking your stuff out. Sometimes doing what we do, it's easy to feel like, oh, I'm just yelling to a void and no one's noticing. But when you have extra follows, when you have shares, when people comment on your videos and any of those kind of stuff, that always just reminds you that like there are people that are appreciating and finding value in what we do, whether that's comedy, a podcast, any kind of art. So support your people by liking and following. If you with any of your podcasts, this is something I've been getting into more now that I run a podcast. I know what it's like.
Right.
The ones that I really do support a ton by listening, and the ones I find value, the ones that I keep going back to, I'll add a follow to them. I'll donate because it's like I've benefited from this so much that this is how I can give back. So
I love fan engagement.
Yeah.
I love talking to people after shows, everything. So yeah, reach out to, say what's up. I'll respond.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a bot.
That's very true. So So next week we are talking about Superfast, which is a parody of the
Ooh,
first
yeah.
4 or 5 movies. It's a hilarious movie. I remember seeing it when it first came out. I'm excited to watch it again. If you like Fast and Furious, you're going to love this movie. It's just a lot of fun goofiness, made by the same people that did Scary Movie and other kind of parody of genre movies. Not another teen movie. That's another one they did. And so check that out. And here's just a friendly reminder, do something fun this week. Listen to a podcast, go to a comedy show, have a good time, go out with friends, live your life a quarter of a mile at a time, and have a great rest of the week.
Bye.